orphaning me when I was born, but she persisted. She left her previous city to start over in another. She worked as a waitress to raise me joyfully as her only son. I organized the funeral. After my mother died, I cried all night in bed. I felt sad and lost. My mother was one of my most important individuals, and her love for me was indescribable. During that period, I had plenty to handle. Though I tried to stay strong, I thought of my mother every night in bed. I didn't sleep for about a week since the night hurt. My chest started hurting sharply one night. I got up from the bed because every breath hurt, and I needed to find relief quickly. Walking toward the medicine cabinet was excruciating. The drawer was hard to open with shaky hands. I desperately looked for painkillers in it. However, the agony spread. My vision blurred and the world quieted. I fell helplessly when I lost my footing. I was plunged into darkness immediately. I was floating above my body when I opened my eyes again. It was still painful to look at the body laying there. I felt no connection to its body or its sensations. I didn't feel sad because it was like discarding old clothes. A tunnel appeared above the living room suddenly. I moved quickly through the tunnel after what transpired. Over time, it accelerated. Like freeway ramps, additional tunnels joined mine. On these ramps, I saw many people like me. We all became brilliant white balls and moved toward a bright light in the distance. This sight fascinated me then. I felt linked to others and like we were after the same goal. I felt like I learned a lot about the universe instantly. The source of this knowledge was unknown. I understood the light was my home and goal. I was made there. My anger, jealousy, and other feelings were gone. Love was all I felt. I entered that light. I couldn't tell how long I stayed. Maybe 5 minutes, 500 years. In that place, time lost meaning. I felt millions of light balls going through the same thing. We communicated non-verbally but understood and bonded. I was yanked back unexpectedly. A large white room loaded with electricity greeted me. Doors, windows, and ceilings were absent. This chamber had no beginning or conclusion, so I couldn't tell its boundaries. In this room, time lost meaning. An infinite space without time or space. My hunger and thirst disappeared in this room. Nothing material felt necessary. Returning to that brightness was still my dream. Angels appeared before me suddenly. He was nearly 2 stories tall. A pristine white robe with intricate needlework covered him. A divinely illuminated golden belt adorned his waist. Angel wings shone 7 colors. His wings flew smoothly like he had boundless power. The angel smiled and said, "You are here again." He stunned me with this inquiry, and I didn't comprehend. I said, "What do you mean when you say I am here again?" The angel smiled softer and said, "You've been here before. Your choice was to return to earth. You're here again." A memory came to me after the angel's words. I made a deal with God. It documented my earthly mission. I questioned the angel why I would return if I had been here before. The angel said, "You have free will, and no soul is forced to leave here, so I cannot tell you the reason you left before." After receiving the contract from the angel, I carefully studied it. I knew I had many ambitions left. I needed to return to Earth to finish my mission. Before leaving, I asked the angel to show me my mother. After seeming confused, the angel added, "I have not seen your mother in this place. My mother was wonderful and died 7 days ago. She did not deserve hell," I told the angel. After hearing me, the angel answered, "I know. I will transport you to a magical place where new souls congregate. Their heaven entry is pending." The angel took me to a pleasant, tranquil environment. No time existed here, only pure energy and unending existence. A warm glow filled this location, and countless luminous balls drifted. Each light ball had a unique energy and shimmered. No bounds or restrictions. It was the center ground connected to the House of Light. This extraordinary area had no sensory experience of the material world, and I could feel each soul's feelings and ideas. Spiritual contact surpassed words. Suddenly, I felt my mother's soul. I felt quite safe and cozy with her. We were connected. I could sense her affection even if she wasn't there. It was a special place to remember and share our feelings. Although goodbye was heartbreaking, I knew my mother was no longer in pain and ill at this lovely place. The reunion with my mother made me feel completely fulfilled. I had to return to Earth to finish my mission. My mother's love would keep me going till we were together again. My soul received a great energy. I felt my pulse and blood flow regularize. My consciousness slowly reconnected with my body. I reconnected with the material world and felt Earth's weight. Waking up on the floor, I saw familiar rooms and furniture. I felt awkward entering my body, like wearing a short clothing. The physical ache was gone, but my heart felt sorrowful. I hoped my mother would live and I could rejoin her. I wanted that colorful home. This need and loss made me depressed like never before. I could not eat well, losing flavor. I couldn't sleep, therefore the night was lonely. My moods changed, making it hard to focus on work. I don't know how long this state lasted, but it faded. I accepted reality. The pain would not overpower me, but help me grow. My hunger, sleep, and life rhythm returned. Several friends heard my story. One buddy thought it was a dream and unimportant. My head hit when I fell, and another friend felt I was hallucinating. One friend thought it might have been a near-death experience. This friend inspired me to research near-death experiences online. I read several near-death stories. Some of the stories were so identical to mine that I believed them. This helped me feel better because it meant my mother went to a lovely place. She achieved permanent bliss and no longer suffered from illness and worry. I know she lives in light and has emancipated her spirit. I feel strong and comforted knowing that my mother is still with me. I feel her love will lead and accompany me. Although others may disagree with my experience, I have found my own answer, which brings me serenity and determination. I want to share my notion so others can feel light and hope. I relived my history while talking to angels. I remember my mother's kind care and cherished childhood times. I saw my youth's struggles and frustrations as I grew up. These recollections are wonderful and true. Hawaii-based 37-year-old David. I survived a near-death experience. I haven't talked to any support groups about this since then, but it's affected my life. When I thought I was crazy, I realized it was denial and doubt. The East Bay of Northern California was my home in 1990. I had recently returned from Squaw Valley skiing. Snow was my first sighting. I kept working as a waiter at the Berkeley Host Marriott despite a minor cough. I think the Bay Area had unusual weather because it was late in the year, which was cold for this island. Being gay made me angry with God as a young guy. My anger accompanied me to the other side. I know I should never be this angry again. My Auntie Ma's place was my late nighttime home. Nobody was home. My aunt and uncle may have gone to a family party, and my sister was still managing PBX at the Oakland Sheraton late at night. I struggled to breathe due to my worsening cough. While eating lunch at the Squaw Valley Ski Lodge, I dimly remembered someone's walking pneumonia story. I was covered in warm clothes to stay warm, and the wind was deafening. In my brain, I heard my father saying, "What's wrong, boy? Don't you realize this family is healthy?" His voice in my brain boosted my strength. I stepped up and said, "Yes, Dad, I know. To escape this cold, I put on my mittens, winter cap, and shoes and left." I failed to walk less than a quarter of the way down the neighborhood block and strained to get up and look my best to get home without being seen. I knew I was dying. Because death appears strange, a little denial is normal. I was back on my couch, uneasy. I rested in my room after returning. A little walk-in closet-sized spare room in the house. The room was well designed with my favorites. Room decor alone was comforting. I fell asleep in the middle of the night and was woken by a sharp chest discomfort. Horror filled my eyes as I stared at the ceiling. My mouth was gaping, unable to breathe, choking and convulsing in bed. No words could describe the misery, and my vision was fading. I could just hear the music and feel the pain gently lessen from brain-released natural chemical bliss. Then physical pain stopped. Still, I heard the body's last kicks against the bedside wall, then nothing. I am still here, I thought. The entry. Perhaps I should get up and investigate the noise. Walked to my bedroom door and paused. I turned around but couldn't see the figure in my bed. My room was similar but different. My possessions radiated a strange and gorgeous blue-green light. My foot and handprints lit up where I walked or touched. This interested me so much that I forgot what happened. I wasn't sure if I should stay in my room or go exploring. I reached out to open the bedroom door first. My arm went to my elbows. I could feel others' deep pain, like nothing else mattered. I pulled my arm in because it was scary. I peered at my window and saw the storm-driven tree limbs pounding it. I pondered returning to my body, but it seemed impossible. I kept one light bulb above my head on, and it was becoming brighter. I assumed this was the entry, so I reached for the lamp and went. I went rapidly. From birth to death, my existence was replayed. The storm. I visited a stormy place. I may have arrived here after dying in rage when I couldn't remember feeling peaceful. I mentioned an after-echo in my mind voice at this place. My voice would echo out to the horizon and back to me from the horizon behind me. I found this irritating. The place I went was uncomfortable. On this new, unsettled planet, I will witness storms like none I had ever seen before. Around me, volcanic vents of all sizes blew steam and heat at any time. Ghosts would sometimes materialize in the steam blast and wander around, lost, as if looking for something. A ghost exploded out of the vent nearest me. It was female. She scared me. She was unclean and clad in outdated, ripped clothing. Since she had no feet, she floated, slowly approaching my space. I communicated when she touched me. I asked her to name this place. She remained silent. However, she cautiously approached me as if to steal or injure me. You can't hide a plan here. All thoughts are heard. You must simply say it. I sharply said, "Who are you?" After removing her face veil, she showed me merely bone and skull. She jumped out of her robe and bit me, opening her jaw wide as if dislocated. My left shoulder, my spirit body. So severe, it was worse than death. I kneeled and screamed out for God as she swooped in midair to suck another bite of my spirit. Spirit woman put her hands on her head and went into the earth vent. The other ghosts approaching did the same. Still, I begged God to forgive me for insulting him back on earth and to take me home from this foreign world. I realized then that my voice would no longer echo back into me. I would shout his name onto the horizon, and it would burst into light and sound. The other spirits around me feared God as if he was no comfort. I felt sad, but I was glad God accepted my apologies. As the horizon light expanded toward me, his brilliance was so lovely words cannot explain. He rose from the mountains like the sun. Every part of me was filled with love, revitalizing my spirit. The globe changed under his light. I watched mountains burst into waterfalls. The black clouds above my head shrank quickly. God has arrived with warm, inviting light. I was calm and peaceful by then. Return to earth. Slowly, as his light spread throughout the earth, grass and big trees sprung up and stood tall before me. All types of birds flew around, and God's animals came out of the jungle to greet me. This was the best homecoming. Joyful tears and laughter sum up this event. His brightness shone brighter. White light enveloped me. God embraced me gently temporarily. His brightness increased till I could barely see. At this point, I felt ready to return to earth. I asked God, "Please, Lord, can I stay?" "Hush," he said. "Your earthly life is incomplete. Now go and be a good boy. You have much to learn." My voyage home to earth was filled with gratitude to God. Oh wow! In my body again. Enough? When you first get a body back, it feels like that. So, enough! I was back in my living vehicle, checking all systems. Found no issues. The lungs were clean. Shaken, disoriented, and perplexed. I think of these words after becoming human. Next may be denial. The denying man asks, did I overdose cannabis and have an odd trip? My surroundings provide the answer. During a house tour, my winter jacket and gloves were flung around like a struggle. Operator chastised me for having 911 programmed phone. Had to check. My back was against the wall in my room. I sat down carefully and awaited the sun. This morning was one of the most stunning I'd seen. The pink sky and light engulfed the horizon. I still stop and watch the sunrise when life becomes too tense. I often see him smiling in the light and shining on me. That comforts me, as does knowing we have a home to go to after